just because it's been a while since I've seen you. We started off with first tracing, I believe it was 3 different circles on our paper. And we want to be sure to stay away from the edges to make sure that your circles do not overlap or touch. So I'm going to start with a big circle here. I'm going to do a smaller circle here and smaller circle down here. Okay, so I've got my 3 circles. They're not touching, they're not overlapping, and they're not too close to the edges. All right, the next thing is we're making the grid behind our circles with our ruler. So I want you to look carefully at your ruler. Your paper should be vertically in front of you. That's the short length at the top and the longer one down the side. When you line your ruler up with the top of your paper, you want to make sure that the 0, or that you're using the inches side first of all. So it should only count all the way up to, if you can see that, to 12. That's the inches side. If it goes higher than 12, then you're using the wrong side. So when I line my ruler up, not with the edge of the paper, if you notice, I leave a little bit of a space. I'm lining it up with the mark for the 0, okay? And then just at the inch marker, I'm going to very lightly make a mark at every inch. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's another way for you to know that you're making the marks in the right places. It should be 8 because the paper is 8.5 by 11. So there will be this extra part over here, and I can just cut that off with the paper cutter at the end. Let me see if I flip my camera here. This might make more sense to you. There we go. Let's see if that works better. Okay, so 1 through 8 at the top. Now watch carefully. I'm going to slide my ruler down to the base of my paper and do the same thing. Be sure not to flip your paper, because here's why. This extra ½ inch that we have there, if I flip it over, that extra ½ inch is going to be on this side when it should be on this side, so that then your marks won't line up. One way to make a straight line is to make sure that you're connecting 2 dots. So I have my 1 through 8 at the top, and I'm just going to slide my ruler down to the bottom of the paper. And again, line up the 0, just so you can see, the 0 with the edge of the paper. And again, you should only get 8 full dots when you go across. So 1, 2. If you have it in the middle of your dot, that's okay. Just really lightly make that pencil mark. These lines we're making now, we're going to have to erase later, so we want to make sure you're making them really light. Okay, so 1 through 8. Again, it should be 8 dots. And you can always look at the top to make sure that little ½ inch space is across from the same ½ inch space. That's another way to check to make sure that you did it correctly. I'll pause it here and let everybody make those marks and catch up. Next, we're going to connect the 2 points with our ruler. I'm going to try to zoom this out far enough so you can see. I guess I'll have to turn my paper so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so when doing it this way, well, I guess that's the closest you can see. I'm going to make sure the first thing is to put your pencil on one of the dots, okay? Then you're going to line your paper, your ruler up with the pencil and with the dot below it. You want to make sure that the center of your ruler, which if you don't have a hole in the center is also by the number 6, that's half of 12. You want to make L with your non-writing hand. Your index goes above the hole and your thumb goes below. That's to make sure you're putting equal pressure on the ruler. Now when you're making lines with rulers, you don't have to hold tight with your pencil. The thing that's going to make the line straight is the ruler, not the pencil. So And to be sure of that, we're kind of pushing with your pencil against the ruler as you're drawing your line. So you really want to hold firm with your ruler so that you don't push and move the ruler. So first, put your pencil on the dot, make the L with your hand, hole in the center, slide your ruler to the pencil, but then also look down to the bottom of your paper. See where my dot is at the bottom, down here? You also want to make sure that your ruler is lined up with that dot. If it's off, then your line's not going to be straight. So you want to make sure that the ruler is touching both places. Once it is, and you're holding down firm with this hand, then you can move your pencil and just very easily connect the 2 points and make your line. For the next one, again, pencil on the dot, slide the ruler to the pencil, line it up with that bottom dot there. Once that's there, now you can make your line. Now here, because my ruler is holding my spot and I'm holding it firm with this hand, I'm just going to jump over the dots. You don't want to make your lines through your dots. So you just jump over them. So here my dot is in the circle, lining it up with pencil, but at the bottom, index finger and thumb are making an L around the hole. And again, once the ruler's in place, then you can very gently with your pencil make your dot, make your lines so that they're nice and straight. And we're just going to keep doing that, double checking that you're touching both points, not drawing through your circles, and creating your grid this way. Always making sure that your ruler is touching both points before you make your line. Okay. Now we're just going to turn our paper and do the same thing the other way. Again, making sure that the 1 through 12, the bigger spaces, are at the top. And since I'm going to cut off this extra piece here, I'm going to go ahead and line my ruler up with that line and make my points above that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, if you're holding your ruler the right way, should be the last one because the paper's 11 inches long. Again, slide your ruler to the bottom. I'm going to use this line again, making sure that it's with the 0, not with the edge of the ruler. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, we're going to make our lines the same way. Pencil on the dot, slide the ruler to that dot, and with the one below it, make sure it's touching both places. Well, my dots are looking a little off. They are. See, it's one thing is when you check, you can make sure that one's right. I must have done this too fast. See, teachers make mistakes too, but it's always good to catch your mistakes before. I'll erase these other ones. Because even being off just a little tiny bit may not seem like a big deal, but I noticed when I went to draw my line with my ruler that it didn't look like it was going to be straight. So now I can tell that looks like a straight line. So again, pencil on the dot, line your ruler up with both dots. And then make your line. Jump over and through. Okay. Line it up, jump over, through. We're going to do this all the way down, just as we did before, always holding tight with your ruler, not with your pencil. You want to make light lines always, just in case you mess up and you have to erase it. and we're just making the grid behind the dots. I'll give you time to work on that, and once we're all finished, then we'll work on doing the grids in the middle of the dots. And that's a little more difficult. I'll record another video for that step. But for now, let's just work on finishing up the grids. I'll come around and help you as you need it. Always, if you need help, don't be afraid to ask somebody next to you if they seem like they are doing it really well or fast. Always help each other. Okay, and I'll come around and work with you, see how you're doing.